Newthoughtmedia Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Newthoughtmedia Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Good morning. There I am. Hey, practicing infinite possibilities together. PIP Friday morning for those in California with our coffee, right? For those on the East Coast, you might be having lunch. And for those in the middle, maybe it's a break. But I am so glad, no matter what reason you've come here to see me live or to see me in recording, that you've joined us to PIP. So we're going to practice infinite possibilities with mindful driving. Now, we talked about this last Friday, and it went really well. And I realized, man, this is a double feature. Okay, so you can catch last Friday if you want through our YouTube channels or on my Facebook. It's all recorded. And then also catch today. But today will stand on its own. So what does it mean, practicing infinite possibilities while driving? Hey, Wayne's here from Calgary. My gosh, we got Canada. We're going international, everyone. Thank you, Wayne, for showing up. I totally appreciate it. So what does it mean? Can we become more mindful while driving? Can we actually take ourselves to a higher consciousness while driving? Can we do that? The answer is yes, because we can practice to become higher consciousness. We can practice to become more mindful in everything we do. Absolutely everything you do. And for the majority of us, especially those who live in LA or live in the cities, but also in the countries, you drive a lot. You drive a lot. So let's now think of our car as part of our therapy, part of our meditation, also part of our church, synagogue, or temple. Let's think of it as a sacred place where we can actually learn about ourselves, how we can actually grow. And why can we do this? Well, let's think. Let me just say this real quick. Shout out to Rev Melissa. I love her. I watch her on Newthoughtmedia Network at 7:30 every morning our time, and I highly recommend. And she said this morning this wonderful quote. I wrote it down to make sure. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to their grave with the song still in them, by Henry David Thoreau. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Sad, but I think it's true. Most people do have that quiet desperation inside of them, and they can mask it. They can mask it. They can put on the smile. They can say, hey, when everything is going really well, I'm happy. But when things aren't going well, this angst comes out of them, this feeling, something's dread or suffering or loneliness or I don't have enough, or I'm not lovable enough. That kind of comes out of them when things aren't going perfect, or they're not at happy hour, right? Or vacation in Hawaii, when things aren't rolling their way. And it's because we've talked about in the brain, we have the lower brain, the middle brain, and the upper brain. And who we are is in our subconscious mind. So if everything is fine, we can mask it. But if it's not fine, then that starts leaking out. Those feelings of dread or unworthiness start coming out. Now, why am I bringing that up when we're in the car? Well, a car, when we're driving, really is almost like a lie detector test. You really get to see how people are feeling when they're in their car. You're with your buddy or your spouse, and they're all like, "Oh, everything's fine." And then they start driving, and someone cuts them off, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." Or they end up getting into a traffic jam, and they're going, "Ah, it always happens to me. This is such a victim, attitude. I can't, they don't say victim, but they're acting victim, right? So that comes out. All this feeling of unworthiness and people not respecting them and people you cutting them off and making life and I can never find the right parking spot. All that starts leaking out when you're driving a car. I mean, I have been with some people that I think are just the calmest people in the world, and all of a sudden they start driving and they're a different person. How many people have had that experience? They're a different person. How about you? You're like, I'm so happy, everything's fine. And someone cuts you off, and all of a sudden this rage or this anger starts coming out. Well, what the car is doing, it's kind of gives people this false sensation that they're in this shelter, this underneath, and they relax into it and they let go of all their masking. And then how they feel kind of starts leaking out. The caveman brain starts coming out. And I think of the caveman brain as being that lower human nature brain. And I have a really good slide for the caveman brain. Let me just show it to you right now. Thank you so much, Audra. I really appreciate it. She and Laura are my producers, and I just shout out, you guys are awesome. This caveman brain we all have inside of us, and it's in animals. It's in anything that is really living, mammals and so forth, but reptiles. And it's really keeping you on survival. It wants you to feel safe. It needs to make sure you eat and make sure that you get some rest and you can sleep. Make sure you propagate, right? So that's in that caveman brain. All dogs, all horses, pigs, rats, rabbits, we all have this. In human nature, because safety and survival and eating and sleeping and propagating, how we do that in our culture comes out being more powerful. So we want to have power. That makes us feel safe. It makes us feel like we can survive. We got the biggest stick, people will leave us alone, right? So that's a caveman point of view. But we don't carry big sticks anymore. What we carry is a lot of money. If we can show we have a lot of money, people kind of clear out. It gives us that sense of power. So instead of in a caveman, this big stick that you have, they say, I'm going to whop you to keep me safe so I can keep my food and I have a place, shelter to sleep, and I'm able to propagate and keep my spouse or whoever I'm sleeping with. Instead of having the stick, I'm going to have money. And that's what the role of money tends to be in our culture. Now, I'm not saying always, but I'm saying if you're thinking from the lower level, that caveman thinking, that's where it comes from. And then another thing that caveman thinking does in our culture is squirreling away. So, hey, Jackie, glad you're here. Good morning. Good morning. So we start squirreling things away. Think of how a squirrel ends up putting stuff away, berries, and puts nuts in and nuts in and nuts in. Well, it's so that they can feel safe for when it gets tough in the future. They feel really, they look around, they go, oh, I have enough toilet paper. Remember when everyone was squirreling toilet paper and paper boxes? They have enough of that. That's caveman thinking that there isn't enough in the world. I need to have more money. I need to have more cars. I need to have a bigger house. I need to have whatever, more clothes, more red sweaters, more shoes, all those possibilities. It makes you feel secure. And it's really rooted back into that caveman thinking. And then the other part of caveman thinking that you see in our culture a lot of times is the outward show. You know how lions, they put up their mane to show how they have powerful, or peacocks, they go up, or if a cat gets bigger, right? The back of a cat gets bigger when it gets scared, it looks bigger. Well, that's what we tend to do too. We buy fancier cars, bigger houses. More is better, more is better. And what we're doing is roostering, like a cock-a-doodle-doo rooster, putting up our feathers saying, look how powerful I am. And you do that to show the world that you're powerful, because inside you can't handle being humble. You can't handle being low key. You can't believe that there's enough inside of you. So you rooster out. Now, these are all caveman thinking. And this comes into our society a lot. So practicing infinite possibilities with driving, think about that. When you're in your car and you go into caveman thinking, you're thinking, I better be safe and everybody has to clear out of my way, right? And all of a sudden you feel powerful. And when people are driving in their car, what happens is often they think that ego, that higher, now I'm talking about the lower level, when you're thinking lower level, but that ego kicks in and you think you're the main character in the story of what's called your driving, right? And everybody else better clear away. The lights better change for you. There better not be any backup anywhere. And that is when that gets threatened. Because remember, I told you caveman thinking, the human brain at a lower level always wants to feel safe. When that gets threatened and you let go of the higher level of thinking, which has impulse control, compassion, empathy, being able to observe other people's point of view, when you let that go, and you go into I don't feel safe, and you already don't feel safe in this world, you don't feel like you have control in this world, and you want to have control, and someone just cut you off, then you get pissed. How dare they cut me off? Don't they know that they're being unsafe? They're threatening me. So someone who feels like they have control inside and someone cuts them off. When you practice mindfulness, when you practice saying someone you can see wants to merge in, you don't start tailgating and not letting them in. How dare they want to get in front of me? You give them space. You give them gratitude. Well, maybe they need to go to the hospital. Maybe they need to get home because the babysitter is, clocking away. You don't know what's going on in their life. Don't assume that you know what's going on in their life. It's time that you get to practice what you learn in your synagogue, in your church, in your temple, in your meditation, in all the books you read. You get to give them space and bless them on their way. You do not need to react as if something is being done to you. Because get over yourself. Something is not being done to you. The world is just going around in its circle, and everyone has a journey, and maybe they're not being mindful. But that's not about you. How they react to you says so much more about them. How you react to them says so much more about you. Let me say that again. When you're driving, how people react to you says everything about them, nothing about you. So let it go. They throw you the finger. Who cares? That shows they're in anger. That shows that they're suffering. Shows that this quote from Henry David Thoreau is absolutely accurate. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to their grave with their songs still in them. Amen. They throw you the finger shows how much pain they're in. They react that harsh, that they're weaving in and out and being unsafe. Think how they react to the rest of their life. Don't curse them. Love them. It is your temple. It's your time to give. Give them space and wish them well. Wow. Now, how you react to them says everything about you. Everything about you. Because if you feel like you're out of control internally, when you're driving, this is the time in which you don't really have control. You have all these people weaving outside, and it becomes very threatening. So someone can be very happy in their home because they can control their home. You know, I work a lot. I do a mindful living coaching. I work a lot with people who have some OCD tendencies, right? And it's what they're trying to control their outside environment because their internal environment is so out of control that they don't realize that they actually have safety, love, kindness. You have it all from the divine energy of the world is already inside of you, but you forgot. So we work on that. But what it gets shown when you're outside, you don't have that internal feeling of love, compassion, then you start trying to manipulate the outside, the controlling on the outside. And you usually can do that in your home, so it feels safe. But once you get in the car, you can't control anybody. And it feels anxious. It feels overwhelming. It feels scary, right? So really, when you're driving the car, it's telling you how you're feeling. If you're feeling lacking inside, you're going to feel that while you're driving the car as reactions happen to you. If you go into a parking lot and you say to yourself, I never, ever, ever find a parking spot, that says a lot about how you view yourself, that you see yourself a little bit more of the victim. The parking lot is doing this to you. This says a lot more about you. That's why I said driving your car is like being a therapist because it's giving you insight. Don't be upset if you get anxious or you get overwhelmed when driving, or you get angry, or you can't find a parking spot and that mode comes in. Don't get upset about that. Go, gratitude. Thank you that I can realize that this is the area I need to work on. And driving my car can be a way in which I can work on this because I have to do this every day. Now, I don't think that I am going to ever, I always think I'm going to get the most perfect parking spot. I don't worry about it. Now you could say, now how can that be, Lindsay? Well, I'll tell you, I just went on vacation. It was very interesting. And we went on a road trip. So we were driving and we pulled up. We were in, it's called Pleasure Point in Santa Cruz. We pulled up and right there at the beach, looking at the beach, was a parking spot. Why did someone else not take it? I don't know, but there it was. It happened to us over and over and over again because I'm not worried. I don't need to learn the lesson. I personally don't need to learn the lesson that I have this victim mentality and it comes out through parking spots. But I used to. I did. I used to think, oh my God, I never. And then I just let it go. I go, the it's a tongue twister. Perfect parking spot will happen. Now let's really take that even further. But Lindsay, it's the holiday season and there's no parking. I still think the perfect parking spot happens, even if it's a mile away. Okay, it's a little fur, but on the other side of the parking lot, I think, oh, the universe is giving me the opportunity to walk across the parking lot so I can burn off a little bit more calories because I'm going to eat that Christmas cookie. I'm going to have some of that Hanukkah cake, right? So I don't say, oh, it didn't happen this time. I say, oh, the infinite possibilities, the practicing the infinite possibilities is that I'm not meant to be at the front door. For whatever reason, I'm meant to be out here and I'm getting my steps in. You see? You see, that's why I'm talking about your car can be your practicing your infinite possibilities. you have to realize that whatever is happening gives you the possibility of practicing to the higher level of consciousness and to get out of that caveman thinking, that lower part. And everybody has that lower part. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having the lower part of the brain. I want you to understand you need it to survive. We know we need to have it so we don't play with matches, right? We don't touch hot pots, that we stop at red lights. Flashbacks from last class, right? Last week, remember, if you want to go back, I told you that when you come to a stoplight, we get to practice. Remember our tools? Green, when we go through a stoplight and it's green, we go to gratitude. Thank you so much for being here, having this moment, having this green light, having this joy, having this car, having this possibility to get home or go to the store or whatever I'm doing, or I'm on vacation. Gratitude. Yellow, awareness. Mindfulness. Come on, guys. Aware. Be here now. Be here now. Wake up. Don't drive automatically and miss the drive. Yellow, wake up. And then, of course, red, which is now one of my favorite lights to get because it means relax. It means, Lindsay, you get a chance to sit here for 30 seconds. Take some breaths. Take some breaths. Relax. Life doesn't have to be in the treadmill. The red light stopped the treadmill. It allows you to relax. You don't have to get on your phone. You don't have to do the dishes. You don't have to talk to your kids. You can just relax. When I was working, I was a head director of a special ed school. And when I worked at Park Hill School, it was the name of the school, I would drive home, and it was about, in traffic, 45 minutes to get home. In LA traffic, it's not so, is people not so much fun. Some people go, go. And they said, that's horrible. I said, oh no, I love it. They said, you love driving home in this traffic? I said, yes, because it's the sacred time that I can relax and just be me and deprogram from the school and all the choices and decisions and love and I had to give there. And then I could have this 45 minutes of just relaxing to get home. So then I could be on my new way of thinking, or my higher level, or my more relaxed, whatever you want to call it, level, my mindful level, to be with my husband, my kids, my family. It was sacred time. Your car, driving in your car is sacred, guys. It is so good because it allows you to practice the vitamin G that we talked about, which is vitamin G. Here's my dogs totally cheering on vitamin G, is gratitude. To practice the 3 lights. And then also to practice the ABCs of PIP. And these are the tools we're working. And I want you guys to I keep repeating them because I want them to go into the higher level, your prefrontal cortex. I want you to keep hearing them to go into your subconscious mind. So they pop up while you're driving, not just now, always. So the ABCs of PIP. A, being aware. I think I have a banner for that one. A, being aware. B is breath. So being aware of what's going on, taking that breath, and then making the choice. ABCs, right? The ABCs. So we want to keep practicing the ABCs wherever we are, but it's always good to know that you have that in your pocket to pull out if all of a sudden you feel your anxiety go up, or someone flips you off, or someone cuts you off, or someone takes that spot. There it is. Look, there's my ABCs. Thank you, guys. You can use that and allow yourself to really bring mindfulness into your driving, right? Mindfulness into your driving. Now let's take it even a little bit further, Okay. So I love this book, and I'm sure many of you guys have read it. It's a book I've read many, many times. The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements is by Don Miguel Ruiz. One thing I love about the book is it's very, very short. Okay. And in it, I highly recommend it to be on your bedside, but these are his four agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personally, and always do your best. Now, let's take those four agreements and let's think about it when we're doing mindful driving. Be impeccable with your word. So when you get into the car, I'm not necessarily, of course, if you're talking to someone else, you want to make sure you're talking at a higher level. You're speaking the truth with kindness and love, even if it's something they don't want to hear. But that's a whole different story. Usually, at least for me, when I'm in the car, you want to be impeccable with your word in your own mind. As you're driving, I want you to be the observer of your thoughts. Are you lost in your thoughts? Are you even present in your driving? Are you wishing and judging everyone? Oh, look at that car. Ugh. Oh my God, can you believe they put that bumper sticker on? Ugh. You know, all that judge. Oh, that person must be my best friend. They have the greatest license plate, right? All that judgment that we go on. Watch it. You get to watch yourself, right? Be impeccable. Watch your words. See where you're practicing. See what you're thinking. And then you get to do the ABCs. Be aware, take a breath, and then make a choice. You can shift to a higher level of non-judgmental, loving thinking. Number two, don't make assumptions. Don't assume you understand why someone has that bumper sticker, cut you off, why there is someone weaving in and out. You don't know. And that really goes back to the story I talked about when I was driving home from the to my house, and someone was honking their horn and weaving in and out, and I was assuming they were drunk, and it turned out that actually I could tell they were going to the hospital. Someone was very ill in their car. Well, you don't assume. Let it go. Learn to let go. You get to practice to let that go and let that go. It might be hard to let go things at work or let go things in your house, but you get to practice letting things go and not allowing bad energy to become part of your energy while you're driving. Do you see how sacred driving is? How it really can help you? That it can be your sacred spot? Don't take anything personally, right? Don't take it personally, guys. So they cut you off. Remember, how they behave when they drive says everything about them and nothing about you. How you behave, what you think, how you react says everything about you and nothing about them. Right? So don't take it personally on how they're behaving. They are not doing anything to you. Yeah, you say, well, they cut you off. Well, they might have cut you off. And thank goodness you're mindfully driving. You can give them space and bless them and let them go on. If you see a drunk driver, you'd say, and you can tell, and they're weaving, then you call 911 or 411, whatever the number is, and report them, because that would be the right impeccable with your words. But maybe they're not drunk, maybe they're sleepy, maybe they're on medication, who knows? But it doesn't mean that you live in ignorance. It means you do the practice. Do the practice while you drive. And always do your best. I love that one. If you're tired, then you need to do your best in your driving and be very aware. If you're angry and you get in your car and you're angry, remember what I told you, then you've activated that caveman thinking. You're having that emotion. Your prefrontal cortex is now shutting down. You are not as safe driving angry or sad or in these high emotions. So doing your best means you better breathe and really stay focused. Do your best. Raining, do your best. Snow, do your best. Late at night, do your best. Just do your best. Do your best. It's so wonderful. So we've talked about a lot of different things. We've brought back how gratitude actually brings us up to the higher level. The vitamin G brings us up to a higher level of thinking. So when you are doing your best and you feel like you're off, go to gratitude. Go, I am thankful I'm here, that I have the capability to drive safely. Say, be impeccable with your words. Bring yourself to that higher level of consciousness. Use your car. Use your car as your sacred place, as your temple, to reach the higher level of energy. Use your car to learn how to let go. Use your drive to learn how to trust in God instead of projecting out that I need to get approval from everyone else. All right. I have one last thing I want to just tell you guys, and then we'll sign off, is that there was a study in Berkeley. And what they did is they watched cars that came up to a stop sign, okay? And pedestrians would walk across the street. And when you come to, they're making a right turn. When someone goes in, this is obviously in California because it was near Berkeley. When you cross the street and someone's in the crosswalk, you're not allowed to turn. That's the law. You have to let them finish. So they wanted to see how many people would make the turn while people were still in the crosswalk. And they wrote down every car to see what kind of make of car, what was if there was any correlation. And you know what there was. It turned out that people that had wealthier cars, like, I don't know if the car is wealthy, more expensive cars, high-ender cars, would cut in front or actually break the law and turn while someone was in the crosswalk. 50% more times did they make that turn. Think about that. So there's been all these studies out of Berkeley, and you could write studies in Berkeley, Google it, about money and how people, they end up feeling entitled when they have money, or they feel like they're projecting money, so forth. And it doesn't mean that money's bad. Please know that. This is all in your own belief system. But what it's saying is it's triggering that caveman thinking, that you feel powerful and entitled, and you are losing yourself in that caveman thinking and not the prefrontal cortex thinking. Does not mean that people who drive nice cars are bad people. Let's not jump to that. But let's jump to the awareness that we don't want to feel like power comes through driving a car or through money. Power is the connection from inside. It's that higher level of connection. And if you don't have it, you're going to race around on that treadmill forever looking for it. And you're going to end up having, as Henry David Thoreau says, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. You're going to have that desperation. So you come to New Thought Network, you do the practice with myself on Fridays at 9, but there's all these other wonderful speakers like Reverend Melissa and Reverend Laura and Reverend Robert. There's tons of them that feed your soul, feed your mind, fill yourself with gratitude. But having knowledge is one thing. Having wisdom, incorporating it into yourself is another thing. And then take action. Take action and do the practice. And practice this week in the car. Okay, guys, I want to thank everyone. Thank you for supporting New Thought Network. I want you to know it's a nonprofit, so it runs through donations. I really appreciate them giving me the space to be your teacher once a week. Please share this video. Please like the video. Please also write comments. Thank you, Wayne, so much for just participating, and Jackie, and I know a lot of my other friends and family and my new friends are out there. Feel free to friend me on Facebook and check us out. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful weekend practicing infinite possibilities while driving. Next week, we're going to take this book into a deeper level in living our life within our home. So I'll see you, the 4 agreements, and I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Newthoughtmedia Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.